ashes burn in the snow on the night it's our turn.
This Sabine deck has, I think, a better late game than it did in set 1 with things like Wrecker.
Yeah, that's true. I think Sabine has moved a little bit in the direction of being a mid-range deck instead of pure aggro, at least for the ECL composition.
I don't know if I'd say that, but interesting point. And John is main decking 2 copies of Timely Intervention, which is gonna definitely help if this game goes along.
Timely Intervention, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Time has started, but I think the players are still considering their opening hands here.
Ooh, Blake, I think, was trying to show us his hand. I didn't quite.
Neither player has put down a resource here.
I did see a resupply in Blake's hand, which is definitely something you want to see early. Some Han players will go for it round 1. Some players won't. We'll see what Blake does.
You can do the Han resource accelerate into immediate resupply play. Maybe risky against Sabine, not sure, but it's definitely a way to get things started fast.
Yeah.
I once actually had a Han deploy before my Sabine because he did the turn 1 make a resource resupply, turn 2 make a resource resupply.
All right,
I was not thrilled with this outcome. Did not win that game, by the way. And here we go.
And there it is, resupply.
Yeah. Looks like John leads off with a, what is that? Is that Sabine Explosives Artist promo version? And Blake does make a temporary resource and then resupply. With
the foil.
Yeah, foil promo. The organized play kit from set 1 had this fancy treatment of good old Sabine Explosives Artist. Honestly, one of the best turn 1 units in the game, in my opinion. She is very strong.
Yeah.
Swing for 3, pretty basic move. But that's aggro for you. Sometimes all you're doing is trying to get control. Ooh.
That's a card. We saw that.
Cohort.
We saw that one earlier today in what deck was it? Oh, it was Han. The new Han Green was playing this card.
Ooh, man, that is I think that's a. Oh, okay. There we go. I was thinking that John had just played that Fighters for Freedom, and I was like, man, that's bad for him. Blake's modded cohort can just take that out next turn. But the energy conversion lab was used to pick off the modded cohort, take advantage of the fact that it's a raid unit.
And the Metal Ceremony follow-up. But he did have to use that ECL, which is going to be big because he can't use it on Poe or Wrecker.
Absolutely right. Yeah, no ECL Poe, no ECL Wrecker. That means a lot. You know, those big unit plays for ECL are pretty substantial.
And both players could theoretically deploy their leaders this round. Looks like Blake is going for it. Blake
is accelerating towards it there. Temporary resource made. Usually that signifies he's going for the 5-6-7 combo.
I think he's got a Ewing reinforcement in hand, if my eyes don't deceive me.
Now, if John has a heroic sacrifice or a fleet lieutenant, he could kill Han right here with that Fighters for Freedom and prevent the combo from going off.
Yeah, he could.
But he doesn't have it.
No.
Or if he does, he chooses not to use it. Fighters for Freedom into the base. For those who might not be aware, the 5-6-7 combo is where you start at 5 resources, you use Han's leader side ability to get a temporary resource, putting you to 6 resources and allowing Han to deploy, and then you swing with Han after deploying, which gives you another temporary resource and puts you up to 7, and that allows you to then play Ewing reinforcement, Han Solo, Reluctant Hero, something like that. Kind of a core tactic for this for the set 1 Han. Han swinging into Sabine here, it looks like.
I would have gone for fighters there, personally.
Yeah, I'd probably rather take fighters off the board, but maybe Blake has something planned for his next action here. Sabine just going for the base.
I mean, it's the
U-wing reinforcement. There we go. Classic Han Solo gameplay. Let's see what Blake gets out of this U-wing reinforcement. So he gets to search his top cards for up to 7 resources of units. And I believe you can only put a maximum of 3 units into play with this. But even still, that's you could potentially really beef up your board with this. But he also has the luck of the draw. What are you looking for? Ooh,
that's a good one.
Han Solo, Reluctant Hero. Very strong card. Has a permanent shoot first effect going. And so he ambushes in, takes out those fighters for freedom, and takes no damage in return.
I just realized I got this guy's name wrong. It's Brian, not Blake. I don't know why I thought it was Blake.
It's Brian. My apologies, Brian.
My apologies.
John brings out K2SO, and it looks like that's going to be it for the turn. Brian will have to get rid of 2 temporary resources since he made one with the leader side ability and one with the unit side ability of his Han there. But I think if I'm Brian, I'm not too unhappy with this board.
Yeah.
Could be a lot worse.
Yep. The big thing for me is I'm happy to see ECL's been used.
Yeah, ECL's been used, and Han Solo Reluctant Hero on the board it's a major factor. That's a very powerful and annoying unit, and without an ECL, I'm not sure what John's plan to deal with it is going to be. Now, to be fair to John, he has done a fair amount of damage to base. I think we're seeing 12 damage on the base right now, and presumably Brian's going to kill K2, but killing K2 does another 3 damage, so he's halfway there.
Yep. Oh, he's going to do it with the modded cohort, not even with the Han.
Modded cohort kills K2.
And it goes to the discard. All right.
Yeah, discard there. Okay, maybe he's like, I'm in enough trouble that I want to constrain my opponent's options.
I think that was Brian's last card. Also, yeah,
that's fair. So with K2SO, you can choose to either deal 3 damage or make the opponent discard a card of their choice. But when they have only 1 card in hand, taking them to 0 cards in hand is pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
So if you're John, you probably want to go to space here, yeah? For a cause.
Yeah, if you can. And that's all 4. All right.
4 for 4. Not that those are the cards that he necessarily wants to be seen at this point, and he discards them all. 11 HP left for Brian. Oh, wow. The Hotshot Blaster on Han. Damage is going to be adding up fast. Brian can do 14 damage per turn now. No, 12 damage per turn. 12 damage per turn.
Yep.
Initiative taken. Oh, man. John didn't have another play. The board is looking pretty stable for Brian right now.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, with 6 HP on Han, even if John draws Wrecker, it doesn't clear him. He's used ECL. Maybe you have to be hoping for a heroic intervention play here.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he's only on 6 resources, so that wouldn't be enough.
Yeah. He throws down Wrecker, so Wrecker can at least clear Leader Han. That's something. But the problem is, Unit Han can shoot Wrecker and kill him and take no damage.
Yep. And this U-wing reinforcement is going to further compound Brian's advantage. Oh, and he gets a Luke.
Oh,
wow.
U-wing reinforced. That is spicy. Out of aspect, Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. But with U-wing, you don't have to pay the cost for the unit. So the fact that it's out of aspect doesn't matter. The -6 kills Wrecker, and Han Reluctant Hero swings for 8. Now, either of those units kills John in 1 hit. I don't even know what he could possibly have as an out for this.
Yeah, I think he'd have to go Timely Wrecker, but even that's not
But
enough.
Timely Wrecker, even if he kills, it wouldn't kill both of them, and either of them swing for lethal now.
Yeah, and we're going to game 2.
Solid win for Brian. Classic Han Solo gameplay with the 5-6-7 combo into U-wing reinforcement, and John just didn't really have the ability to get that last damage through after Brian stabilized.
Yeah.
Man, that is some that we were discussing this combo and this gameplay, and Han Green being at least previously favored into Sabine, and then we saw it right in action. I think that turn 1 ramp into being able to play a modded cohort so early, that was a strong start for Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Modded cohort really does answer like basically any early play other than a shielded unit.
Yeah.
I guess conceivably you could have something where someone plays like a unit and then immediately buffs it. Like if they did, Battlefield Marine, you make your temp resource and resupply, and then they first action play a wing leader, then you might be in trouble if you're going for this modded cohort plan. But at least for unbuffed units, the modded cohort's a great answer. And I believe, looking at Brian's list, I believe he's also playing the Sundari Peacekeeper, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
That can be a annoying card for aggro to deal with as well. It can hit for 3, which deals with a lot of aggro small units. It has 5 HP, so it's kind of annoying to clear. And Restore 2 is going to be buying some extra time.
Yeah, looking at Brian's list, his only 2-drop is Leia. So he's all in on the plan of ramping turn 1, it looks like.
That's interesting. He does have 3 copies of Grogu in the sideboard, and I think he might be bringing them in as like anti-aggro tech here.
That would be fun to see.
Yeah. He also has 3 Spark of Rebellions, which if they are included are valid turn 1 plays. And I get, maybe his plan is, hey, I'm Han. I'm not going to be playing a 2-drop turn 1. I want to be playing a 3-drop turn 1. And I'm going to bring in that extra resource and play Sundari Peacekeeper. Let's go,
Yeah. He's also on 3 copies of that Luke Jedi Knight, which normally you see that as a 1 of, but 3.
No, he's going big for it. That's interesting. He is not running the full like Casino Han, all kinds of 7 cost stuff. It's just the Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, but the Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight can be a good one to bring in. One of the strongest units in the game.
Yeah. Looking at John's sideboard, I don't know what he's going to bring in here. Like, none of these things seem like ideal for this matchup. Maybe you bring in Heroic Sacrifice.
Heroic Sacrifice might be more desirable than Rebel Assault in this matchup.
Yeah.
Spec Force Soldier, I think, is conceivably good here. I don't think they're open deck list at this point, though, so I'm not sure that he's seen Brian's Sentinels. I don't think we saw either Echo-based Defender or Bright Hope. But you can kind of expect that that's going to be the case in this type of deck, I think. John has a Bright Hope of his own, which he could be bringing in, or 2 of them rather, which he could be conceivably bringing in as a method of opposing things like the Falcon. But I don't think like space aggro is the main threat here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think John would, if I were playing John's deck in this matchup, I think what I would do is I would bring out I would bring out at least 2 Rebel Assault for the 2 Heroic Sacrifice, and I would try to find some way to get the spec, like 1 or 2 Spec Force Soldiers in there. I'm not entirely sure what I would be replacing, but I think I would like to see those against this composition.
Yeah.
But I've also seen Brian's list and John hasn't.
All right. John opens with, it looks like Battlefield Marine. here.
Yeah, Battlefield Marine is a classic card.
And there's the Grogu. Is that the event exclusive Grogu?
I think so. I think it's the fancy Grogu.
All right. He's not so great going second. But maybe if Brian manages to get the initiative at some point, he'll be better.
Yeah, Grogu's ability allows you to exhaust him to exhaust another unit. The problem with that is, like you said, if you're going second, you know, John gets to swing with that Marine before Grogu can exhaust him. On the other hand, though, it does counter plays like Wing Leader. So a Wing Leader buffing that Marine and making him a 5/5. Grogu could then exhaust it and prevent all the damage. Wow, that's interesting. John is actually swinging for Grogu instead of the base. And he uses a heroic intervention to play Sabine Wren Explosives Artist, ambush in and kill Grogu. That was a heroic intervention from hand.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Sabine is herself taken out by a modded cohort after Brian makes a temporary resource. This time, though, I think John has a much more straightforward answer to the modded cohort. He can just take initiative and swing with the Marine to pick it off here. Doesn't have to use his ECL.
Yeah, you're right.
If he can get into a position where he can have ECL waiting to kill Han when Han deploys, I think that would be very desirable for him. Like if he, like, I think the dream would be like Poe ECL just waiting for Han, or like, you know, maybe you have Sabine Darksaber waiting for Han or something.
Yeah. Looking at his hand, I don't think he has Poe. Yeah,
it didn't look like he had it here, but he does also probably still have one turn. It is conceivable we could see resupply into Han into deploy, but that wouldn't allow the 5/6/7 combo in its normal form because some of the resources would be exhausted.
Brian also does run Spark of Hope if he has that. Okay, no, he's just going to go for resupply here.
Yeah, resupply it is. And John did take the kill on that modded cohort with his Battlefield Marine.
And Han is going to 6 here.
Yep. Sabine deploys, no Darksaber, just a swing for 3. Not a ton of damage being dealt to the base so far. But he does have the board advantage. Now Han has arrived, and even if he had Poe, he can't play him here with only 4 resources.
Yeah. New Metal Ceremony is pretty good here.
Metal Ceremony, okay.
Doesn't save the Battlefield
you know,
Marine,
if Han's going to swing and kill that Marine, he'll take some more damage when doing so. Metal Ceremony is such a good card.
Ooh, Disarm. All right. That was a spicy take that I was going to talk about, but we started the game.
Yeah, John has to look at the card. Disarm, not an incredibly widely played card, but it's I believe, 1-cost event that gives a unit -4/-0 until the end of the phase.
Yep.
So it's basically the same thing as Jeddah City, except on a card. But the exception is that I believe Disarm can target leaders, which does mean that sometimes it can create a quite favorable scenario. Interesting to see Brian running it, though. It's not a commonly played card.
Yep. He's got 1 in the main and 2 more in the sideboard. I don't know if that one came out of the board or not.
Yeah, I wonder if he sided it in. That's crazy. Looks like John's other play that turn was to play a Cassian Andor from hand. So he did not come into play ready since he wasn't smuggled. Oh, but here is ECL Poe Dameron. John has it, and that is big.
Yep.
Brian maybe confused there, was looking through the discard pile. I think he maybe thought the ECL had already been used, but then saw the heroic intervention. Yeah, because that's Sabine was not played. Oh man, and Brian just takes initiative. That is brutal. This turn is a huge swing in John's favor.
Yeah.
I wonder if Brian was hoping to attack, go to 7, and then play Han or Ewing or something, and without that, he didn't have a play.
That's my guess, yeah.
Now, if he does have that Han, he can have Han show up and pick off Poe before Poe gets a chance to do anything. And Han doesn't even take any retaliation damage thanks to his permanent shoot first type effect.
Yep.
I don't know, though. This time, John seems to be doing much better than we saw in the previous game.
That's for sure. Resupply.
That resupply?
Yeah,
I don't know. Not that resupply is a bad card, but it seems a little late.
I think he has a Luke in hand, and I mean, if he resupplies here, he gets to play it next round, but I think it's going to be too late by then.
Oh, yeah, because he has to play Luke for 9. If he doesn't hit it off that Ewing. Yeah, okay. Poe attacks and discards another Poe, I think, to do... to cause a discard. And Luke discarded from hand.
I think that might have been Brian's last card.
Oh, that's brutal for Brian.
And I think we're going to see a game 3 here.
Yeah, it's got to be game over.
Yeah.
Brian is only 6 HP left. Wow. John shows the hand to the camera with the 4 cause. But Brian scoops before we see that draw to its natural conclusion. 1-1. That's what I like to see. All right, so game 1, we saw Brian kind of take control of it, early ramp. And I think the crucial factor, if I had to name one thing, was that John had to use his ECL early on in game 1 and wasn't able to use it later to suppress Leader Han. But game 2, he was able to get the ECL Poe and kill Leader Han before he could do a potential ramp to 7 type play. ECL matters a lot. And the funny thing is, sometimes there's matchups where using ECL early is important, and sometimes there's matchups where you really want to save it, and it really depends on the specific situation you're in.
Yep. And I think the thing that forced John to use the ECL early was Brian getting the resupply on turn 1 and then going modded cohort on 2.
Yeah. And because if John had just played the Fighters for Freedom, the modded cohort could just trade with it at the start of the next turn, and that would be a very undesirable situation for John. So I do think it was correct for him to use ECL there. It was just not the play that you most want to be making. And ultimately, he wasn't able to have it later on in an important scenario. But, maybe you have to use it then just to stay afloat and hope that your opponent doesn't hit the big combo or whatever, or that you get the, maybe he could have drawn the Fleet Lieutenant that would have allowed him to attack into Han and take him out. Players drawing up their opening hands for game 3 of the 5th round here. Considering those opening hands, resource decisions can be very important in this game. Even cards, it's kind of funny because I think one of the things that the smuggle mechanic does is it can simplify your resource decisions. But the funny thing is, the game is deep and interesting enough that you don't always want to resource your smuggle card, especially with Cassian. I have found that as a Sabine player, you often actually don't want to resource Cassian on the first turn, but rather wait to see if you need to play him on round 2. And if you need to play him on round 2, then you play him for his normal cost. And if not, then you resource him and plan to smuggle later.
Yeah. He's definitely
That said,
just
you do.
a good
Sorry, go
3
ahead.
cost. He's definitely just a good 3-cost unit anyway. Like, even if you don't have to play him as 3, he's a good 3.
That said, there are some more straightforward things sometimes. The big one is you often see people playing the Hotshot Deal 44 Blaster in a deck that doesn't actually have red in it. So and their only plan is to smuggle.
All
Wow,
right.
that is a brutal turn 1. John fires off a heroic sacrifice with no units in play to draw a card, desperately trying to get something he can play, doesn't find it, and Brian makes a temporary resource and plays DJ.
DJ's like, we were just talking about Cassian. Cassian's a 3/5. DJ's also a 3/5.
Yeah.
And DJ's another
3
card
for a
that you might think you want to put in the resource row to smuggle with, but he's just good stats.
Oof, and there's a resupply. I think that's a red 3 that we're seeing here from John, but he is far behind, missing his turn 1 play. His opponent gets out DJ into resupply. This is not where you want to be as the Sabine player. Does look like there's a Darksaber in hand. And one thing about the 5-6-7 combo is that because you have to take an action to make that temporary resource before you deploy, your opponent can kind of gain a tempo advantage on you. So John can potentially bring out Sabine and put that Darksaber on her to gatekeep Han here and prevent him from doing his combo into a U-wing reinforcement.
Yep. And there she is.
Sabine deploy. That is a showcase Sabine, I believe.
Yep.
Now, Rebel Trader, this might be controversial, but I am of the opinion that normal Sabine's art looks better than showcase Sabine's art. What do you think about that?
I think there's definitely a good argument for that position.
I hear you. All right, Darksaber is there, and Sabine is in position for gatekeeping here. Trying to prevent Han maybe from... Now, wait, didn't he already do that?
Not this turn.
Or no, John had the initiative. John had the initiative, so he did deploy Sabine, DJ swings into Sabine, Darksaber, Han temporary resource. So now as John, you probably swing with red 3.
Yep. Because if I'm John, I don't know if I actually want to kill Han with the Sabine, but I want Brian to think that I might. And decide not to flip.
I think I probably... Well, let's see. So if you kill Han with Sabine, probably DJ trades with Sabine at the start of the next turn.
All right, and Sabine
is
is
going to do it. He is going to do it. He
yeah.
does not want that 5-6-7 combo going off. So Han taken out by Sabine. Sabine on only 1 HP left. There, that should also deal 1 damage to Brian's base, but it looks like John might have missed his trigger there.
Yeah. I was gonna say like the ideal play is that your Sabine deters Brian, and Brian ends up like spending resources for something to make it so that he couldn't ever get to 7, and then you can attack Sabine. You can attack base with Sabine, but Brian evidently didn't want to make that play. So
now Brian, if he does anything here, John can take the initiative. Ooh, Marauder shows up and ambushes red 3.
And I mean, Brian's done a good enough job of preventing damage that he can tank a Sabine Darksaber hit here and not feel horrible about it.
Yeah, he only has 4 damage on his base. He is not in the danger zone. Sabine with Darksaber hits for 7 damage total against a base, 6 damage against a unit because her on-attack ability can only hit bases. But 7 damage here going, bringing Brian to 11 damage on the base, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Fleet Lieutenant sending Sabine into the base for a total of 9 damage. Now 13 damage on Brian's base, 17 HP left. Energy Conversion Lab has still not been used for John. DJ trades with Sabine as expected.
Yeah. Brian can go for a 7 here if he decides to resource again with Han.
Yeah, he could go for his Ooh man, did John just take the initiative there?
Maybe.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yep. All right, and
there's
Brian
Han.
goes for the Han.
That's brutal. I think I don't want to call it too early, but Brian is now very stabilized with a powerful unit in both the ground and space arenas that can, well, I don't know though. It's not over yet. John still has that ECL, and that could be big. Definitely would be pretty happy to be in this scenario, though, if I were Brian here. John has the initiative. 6 resources, Wrecker, ECL, Ambush Han.
That's
so he's going to discard a resource, deal 5 damage to Han, then he swings in, they trade, but 6 damage goes through to the base thanks to Overwhelm. It's probably about the best he could hope for. It doesn't put him in like an immediately winning position, but it deals with Han and does a bunch of damage to base at the same time.
Yep. Ooh, the Peacekeepers. That's big.
I think that's a Sindari Peacekeeper hitting the field here.
Yep. That's going to help Brian start to stabilize.
Marauder swings on into John's base. Looks like John has 2 Darksabers in hand, which is a little awkward once your Sabine has already been defeated.
Yep.
Sometimes you can get some good... Ooh, man, that is not what you want. Red 3 will just get shot down by Marauder here. Yeah. All it's really doing is buying some time. I don't think John's seeing the cards he most wants here.
All right, Marauder, going to base. I probably would have killed the red 3 there, mainly because I'm worried about Wing Leader.
Yeah, I would personally. Yeah, and there's Wing Leader. I don't want to give the Sabine deck more opportunities to deal damage. You know what I mean? I want to keep the board clear, but maybe he has other answers in hand.
Yeah.
If he has a Bright Hope to throw down, he probably doesn't care that much about this, even with the Wing Leader. Ooh, Hot Shot, deal 44, smuggled out, swinging in for 5 total damage.
Let's see. If he has double Millennium Falcon here, he can actually win the game this turn.
Interesting point.
Well, he'd have to have a 3rd card also. I'm not sure.
I think he may have forgotten the Restore 2 from the Sindari Peacekeeper. There we go. Got it. Oh, he doesn't. So we're going into a new round. But that Peacekeeper is lethal if John doesn't have a way to deal with it. And even if... I don't know what John would... I mean, I guess we could see another Wrecker. Wrecker could just show up and blow up the Peacekeeper. That would work. And then... even then, though, Marauder can swing for bait. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Oh, it's a Rebel Assault. Is that game? Is that for lethal?